Okay, any of you guys interested in replacing the drive shaft on your Hellcat Challenger, I'm going to go through it and show you how it's done. It's a really pretty easy job. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably like, really it is a 2. The biggest thing for anybody is getting the car up. You really need to do it on a lift. I know there's guys out there that have done them on a jack stand. I wouldn't want to do it on a jack stand because, man, that's a lot of twisting and bending and just not a lot of clearance and room to work with. But this is with exhaust off, and I took it off at one piece. I took it right off at the header. Did not uncouple it here. Why? Because it's one of those things where if you take it off there, you have to do a lot of wiggling and jerking and yanking to get the thing off, and then guess what? When you put it back on, you're fighting with it to put it back on. It's just as easy to pull it right at the header flange. Here's the header flange. There's 2 studs. This is the left bank. As you can see, I actually pulled the studs out and never seized them. Here's the right bank. Same thing. That top stud's a little tough to get to, but you just reach up over the top of the exhaust and you can get it off. 16mm nut. So as you work your way back, you just got to unhook the O2 sensors. The left bank, there's a plug right there. It attaches to the left side of your transmission right there. If you can see that white plug, plugs right in there. The right side, same thing, but I don't know if you can see it here. Let me see if I can get you more light. It attaches right there to this bracket. It actually plugs in right at the top of that. That's where your O2 sensor plugs in right there, and you just got to unclip it there. Pretty easy. Then as you work your way back, there's not a lot holding this thing in. As you come back, right here by your cutouts, there's 2 hangers, 1 bolt on each. Pull them out, and the nice thing about it, the way they got them designed, this will hang like this. This will hang like this, and there's a hook that hooks right underneath this right here. So when you pull the bolt out, it'll just hang on that exhaust. Nothing will fall on you. See the green markings and white markings right there where that thing is? That's actually a hook right there, and that latch just hooks right up over there, and the bolt goes right through there. And these are for your cutouts. Just unplug those. And then the only other bolts there are right here in the back. 1 bolt on each side, straight up in. Use a little 3/8 ratchet, and I think it's a 13mm hex socket. And probably maybe a 6/8 inch extension. You can just zip them right out of there. Really takes about 2 people to get it out of here, because once you drop the exhaust, you got to have a guy in the front. He's got to kind of hold that, and then you kind of got to feed it back through the rear of the car and out. And as you go out, the guy on the outside is going to kind of lift the exhaust up so you can tilt the cats out of the way of the underside of the car. And she goes right out. I actually got this lift. I've only got it up probably 3.5 feet in the air, because I can just sit on a stool and work underneath the car. It works really well. Alright, as we install, we'll show you the rest of it. Well guys, if you ever have a carbon fiber drive shaft come apart, it doesn't do a lot of damage to the underside of the car. Here's mine came apart, and I'm having to replace the insulator shield. That's the old one. I'll show you what that looks like. Where the drive shaft came apart, it just kind of tore it all to shreds there and blew holes in it. This is the new one. They're a little under $100 through Chrysler. But the underside of my car was virtually undamaged. This is the transmission. This is a drop down so I can put the insulation in. But if you look right here on the right side, you can see a little bit of shiny scratchiness there. That's the only mark on the whole car, and that's covered by this insulation package. So definitely you hate to see a drive shaft come apart, but if you do and you have a carbon fiber, it's going to save the underside of your car. Here it is looking all the way to the back. Again, this is a 2015 Dodge Hellcat Challenger. And the insulation just slides right up in there. There's only 1 screw. I don't know if you can see it. It's a plastic screw, plastic nut. If you look right up in there, and right in front of that black nub sticking down, there's a little stud. A little plastic nut goes on that, and that's the only thing that holds it up in there, other than being tucked and held in by the heat shields. That's the only other thing that holds it in there. It's pretty simple. Just got to drop the back of the transmission, got it on a jack, got it on my lift, and just dropped it down, I don't know, 4 inches or so. They give me enough clearance to get it out of there. Really quite simple to do that piece. Alright, here we are with the new piece all installed. It took me just a few minutes. You kind of got to just work it forward and up and around the tunnel, because it is a little, the tunnel does narrow up as it comes back, so kind of got to scrunch it in a little bit and work it up there and get it up over that front stud. But if you look, you can see there behind that thing sticking down, there's this, there's a plastic nut there, there's a hole right in the insulation, and you just screw that right up on a stud. The stud is similar to the one here in the back. If you look, see it right there. The drive shaft had exploded. It took that nut out, so I got to get another one of those. So it takes 2 of those to hold it in. Other than that, it's all held in place by the heat shields. Okay, this is the carbon fiber drive shaft from Driveshaft shop. Pretty nice looking piece. It's got a CV in the front, U-joint in the rear, an adapter plate there, and it also has an adapter plate in the front, and that's what that is right there. You actually unbolt that from the CV joint, and you're going to bolt that in first. Clean all the bolts. I usually spray them down with brake clean, and then I put them in with a little blue Loctite. There, the adapter plate's in place. All the bolts are in there, finger tight, got Loctite on them. I just bring them up snug with my impact, and then I put my torque wrench on them and torque them. Okay, so here we are. We're just torquing the adapter plate in, 57 foot-pounds. Do it in a crisscross pattern. You get the idea. I'm going to show you a trick when you get ready to put the drive shaft in, and you need to spin the tail shaft. You can't spin it now. If you look, see it's in park. But over on the left side of the transmission, there is a park lock lever. And all you got to do is reach up with your thumb, and you can push up on that, and then you can rotate the shaft. That takes it out of park, and then you'll let off on it, and it'll drop into the next park dog. Pretty simple to do. Up, release, let her off, and she locks back in. Okay, this is the rear adapter plate for the drive shaft, and note the red marks marked on the shaft and the U-joint and the adapter plate. We want to line them back up together when we put the final assembly together. Why? Because that's how it's balanced. It's all balanced together like that. I just zip the bolts out, usually with my impact here. You should come out pretty easy. They're not very tight. Just right on around. Okay, we've got to take the bolts out of the adapter plate. I usually just take my impact, and they're not in there very tight, and they'll usually just zip right out. I already had 2 of them out, so it's nothing to that. And you got all your other bolts. These are the bolts we want to clean this and clean this adapter plate. We're going to bolt that to the rear end. Again, the rear adapter plate installed. All we got to do is I just run these bolts up, just snug them up with my impact. Crisscross pattern. And then we torque them down with a torque wrench to 57 foot-pounds. Okay guys, got the drive shaft all in. Last measurement is to check the clearance between the CV joint in the front of the drive shaft. It's supposed to be 3 1/4 to 3 3/4, and we're right about 3 3/8. We're good. Okay, here we are. We're all hooked up. Bolts are all tight. O2 sensors are plugged in. This is the left bank. Go over here to the right bank. All hooked up. O2 sensors in. Drive shaft. All hidden by the exhaust. Heat shields. Here's your clearance in the back of the drive shaft. It looks a lot closer than it is there. I got probably 1/2 inch between the drive shaft and the right muffler there. And then everything here. Here's the tail end of the drive shaft all buttoned up. Exhaust goes in. It's pretty easy. Like I say, you just lift it up, hook it on the hooks there, and you can see how they are hooked in there, and now it's all bolted and hanging. Here's the right side, or excuse me, left side. Everything's buttoned up. That easy, guys. Not really that hard a job, just takes a little time.